All right. Good evening, everyone. We do have some new people coming in, and we are live on YouTube now. My name is Natalia, and I'm with ASVAB Success. And this is our free preview class that we're doing now on basically in the month of July. So today we're going to be going over a couple of things. Good evening, everyone. We do have some new people coming in, and we are live on YouTube now. Okay, sorry about that. So for those of you who are just coming in, I know someone new is coming in class. And those of you who are logging in and watching us on YouTube, what we're working on in the moment is we are working on this quiz that you see here. To access the quiz, just scan the QR code and you'll be able to get started. So there are some people who did come into class a little bit earlier. I know you guys are working on that. I'm going to give you about 5 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and review the questions. All right, guys, I'll give you about 3 more minutes and then we will jump into these questions. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to stop sharing the quiz and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen that has screenshots of the quiz that you just did. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and submit that quiz just so we get an idea of where you're at. You can keep that link. So if you want to retake the quiz later or you want to use it to study, you are more than welcome to do so. Okay. So, all right, let's do this. Remember, I'm going to go over the questions from the quiz or some of the questions from the quiz. If there are other questions you want me to review, go ahead and let me know in the chat and I will be happy to get to those. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So in other of these review classes that we've done, we've mostly focused on math. So I did want to start us off with a reading question today. So I can give you guys a couple of pointers on how to address these reading questions. So when you guys do the reading questions, and those of you who are here in Zoom with me, please feel free to either unmute yourself and answer this, or you can write it to me in the chat and I'll be able to see what you tell me, okay? So when you guys do these reading questions, do you read the question first or do you read the paragraph first? What do you guys think? Or what do you do? Okay, we got some questions first, we got some paragraphs first. Okay, either one works. There is actually no correct answer for which one is best, okay? The truth of the matter is it really just depends on what works for you. So this is a good thing to kind of experiment with and say, do I do better when I read the question first? Do I do better when I read the paragraph first? Now, something that will always work, however, and is a strategy I like to teach people, is the process of elimination, okay? And when I say process of elimination, I say we're going to look at the answer choices and we're going to pick first the ones that are very obviously wrong. Now, it is our human nature to be able to point out what's wrong a lot easier than to point out what is right, okay? So when we're focusing on what is wrong about these answer choices, it's easier for us to eliminate things that are just, it's just there. It doesn't belong there. We don't need this. So let's go ahead and read this paragraph first. It says, many people confuse sparkling wine with champagne and Prosecco. Sparkling wine is all wine that has carbonated bubbles. However, some sparkling wines are named champagne or Prosecco because of where they come from. For example, champagne can only be called champagne if it is sparkling wine that has 3 types of grapes: Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. And it is created exclusively in the Champagne region of France. Prosecco, on the other hand, is made from the Prosecco grape, and it can come from 9 different regions in Italy. All right, that's it. That's our passage. Now, our question says, according to the passage, what is the most notable difference between types of sparkling wine? Okay, so our objective here is to figure out which one of these are very obviously wrong, okay? So first answer choice, the color of the wine. Does it mention anywhere in our paragraph that the color of the wine determines what we call the wine? So no, it doesn't explicitly say that, right? So we can cross this one out. Now this one we have to be careful with because you might be thinking to yourself, oh, well, I know about some wines and rosé is called rosé because it's pink. That is called extra information. If it's not in the paragraph, it's almost like it doesn't exist. We're not going to use that information. So don't let that confuse you and choose the wrong answer, okay? Here, our second answer choice says the color of the grapes used. So the grapes used portion of this is correct in the sense that it does talk about the different types of grapes. but it talks about the types of grapes. It does not talk about the color of the grapes. So because it's the color of the grapes and not the type, we're going to eliminate this one too. Okay? All right, so now we've narrowed it down to two possible answers. Let's keep going. The next the next answer choice is the region where the wine is from. Okay, doesn't mention regions. I'm seeing some answers in my chat. Okay, so it does mention regions, right? It talks about types of grapes, but it says here created in the Champagne region of France. So it does say region. Okay. And then it says Prosecco is made from the Prosecco grape. So it tells us the type of grape. And it says comes from 9 different regions in Italy. So this is a possible answer choice. Okay. So we're going to leave this one here. We're going to say, yeah, this is possible. Let's leave it there. Okay. Now, the last one says the language spoken where the wine is drank. Now, this one is a little weird. So let's make sure we're understanding this correctly. Now, in the paragraph, it does say that the wine comes from different places, right? France and Italy. In these places, they do speak different languages. Okay, so those could be different. But then it says where the wine is drank. So not where the wine is created, but where it's actually like drunk, right? Like where it's consumed. Does it say anything about where the wine is consumed or where the wine is drank? So it does not. That eliminates this answer choice for us. So the only answer choice that doesn't have a problem with it is C, the region where the wine is from. Okay, so I see here there was one person where that last one got a little confusing because it is languages, different languages that are spoken in these countries. But if we pay attention to the last part, we see that it's wrong. But with process of elimination, we can catch those problems, those little problematic parts of the answer choices and narrow it down to the correct answer. Okay, any questions on this? All right, I'm getting no questions, which is a good sign. I'm going to say no news is good news. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these math questions. So this first question says, Ms. Jackson's rent during the past year was $12,775. Her rent was 35% of her income last year. What was Ms. Jackson's total income last year? So I personally like to use the equation part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, so here it's telling us that her rent was this much. Now, it's also asking us, it's telling us that her rent was $12,775. And it's telling us that that is 35% of her income. So it's giving us a percent. And it's asking us for her total income last year. So when we see this with total income, we ask ourselves, is the rent part of her income or is the rent all of her income? Who can tell me? So when you think about it, I know rent is expensive, so I don't want you to misunderstand me. But when you get a paycheck, does your whole paycheck go to rent? Or does part of your paycheck go to rent? Even if it's a big part, Okay, good. So the rent is part, which means here the rent is going to be our part. Okay? And the total income or the whole paycheck is going to be our whole. Now notice here, the whole, we don't know it, right? It's asking us for total income, which means this is what we're looking for. It's our unknown. And whenever we have an unknown, we're going to call that X. Okay? So I'm going to plug all this information into my equation. So part is 12,775. And the whole, which goes on the bottom, we don't know it, so I'm going to call it X. Here with the percent, I know that this is 35%, so I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to make sure that they align with each other. $12,775 represents the rent, so the 35% represents the percent of the rent, okay? So they align, which means I'm good and I can go ahead and cross multiply. So whenever I have two fractions equal to each other like this, what I do is I cross multiply. I do 35 times x gives me 35x. And 12,775 times 100. I'm going to show you a little shortcut here. I'm going to put 12,775, and I'm going to put these two zeros at the end of it. 1, 2. Okay? Everybody with me so far? All right. And now, my goal is to solve for x because that is my unknown. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for letting me know. Okay, so I want to solve for x because that is my unknown, right? So I want to get it on one side of the equal sign by itself. Right now, the 35 is multiplied to that sign of the equal sign. So if it's multiplied, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by 35. And when I do that, this cancels out because 35 divided by 35 gives me 1. So that leaves me with just x by itself, okay? Now, whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I also have to do to the other side of the equal sign. So here, I divide this side by 35, okay? And now we have this big, ugly number, but it's okay because we are super smart, so we're going to do it. We're going to do some super fun long division now, okay? So let me make some space here. 1, 2, 7, 7, 5, 0, 0. Can you guys see that okay? All right, I'm going to divide this by 35. So I can't do 35 goes into 12. 12 is too small. So I have to do 35 goes into 127. So let me stop and think for a moment. 35 times 1 gives me 35. 35 times 2 gives me 70. 35 times 3 is going to give me 105. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to do the multiplication here on the top. 35 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So it gives me 105. So I'm going to put 3 here. That's as close as I can get without passing it. Okay. And I'm going to put 105 down here to subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is 0. I'm not going to do anything else there. Okay. So that handles 127. My next number to bring down is 7. Okay. So this, I'm going to go ahead and try out the number 6. So I'm going to do my multiplication up here. Let me make some space. If I'm not sure about this, I can always round my number. So like, let's round 35 to 40, okay? And I can say 40 times 6 is 240. It's pretty close. So let me try it, okay? So 6 times 5 is 30, carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 3 that I carried is 21. So I get 210. Perfect, that's close. So I'm going to put a 6 here, and I'm going to put a 210 here. And I'm going to subtract 7, 2 minus 1 is 1. So I get 17. Okay, I bring down my 5. And by the way, I know this feels like it's taking forever, but it's because I'm explaining every step in detail. When you are doing this on your own, it's going to be way faster, okay? So don't panic. Don't worry. So 175 is smaller than 210. So I'm going to try a smaller number. I'm going to try 35 times 5. Okay? So 5 times 5 is 25. I carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So it's exactly 5. So I'm going to put my 5 here, 175. Now, I am not finished. I still have 2 more zeros to bring down. This 0, 35 goes into 0, 0 times. And then this 0, 35 goes into 0, 0 times. Be super careful. I've had incredibly super smart people that have studied so hard miss that step, and then they get it wrong. And I don't want that to happen to you, okay? So here, I finally get 36,500 as my answer. So my answer here is C. All right. Those were some big numbers. Any questions for me? Okay, it sounds like we're understanding. So this is what we're going to do, because I am a big believer in you learn when you practice, okay? So we're going to try a similar question, but I'm going to give you much smaller numbers to work with, okay? Because this is just these numbers are big. And I want you to be able to do it quickly, okay? So that we can move on. So here, we're going to say that the rent was not this much. We're going to say it was 500. I know that doesn't exist anywhere, but let's just pretend, okay? Let's pretend. And instead of 35%, I'm going to say 20% of her income, okay? So I want you guys to take those numbers, plug them into the equation I just taught you to use, and I want you to give me an answer. So once you get your answer, put it in the chat here in Zoom, or if you're on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment on YouTube with the answer that you got for this question, okay? Amelia's over there and she'll be able to look and she'll be able to give you feedback. So I'm going to give everyone, let's say, I don't know, a minute or two to give this one a try. Okay, awesome. I got my first answer. Do not worry whether it's right or wrong. Just give it a try and send me an answer, and then we'll figure out if it's right or wrong together. Okay, still waiting for an answer from James and from Zoom user. If you guys need more time, just let me know, okay? All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So same thing, her rent is $500. We're saying that her rent was 20% of her income, okay? And we want to find the total income for last year. All right, let's plug everything into our super wonderful equation. We're going to put $500 up here because that is my part, the part that's spent on rent. We're going to put 20% up here because that is the percent that's spent on rent. We're going to put X down here because we do not know what the total income is. And we're going to put 100 down here because that's where 100 always goes in this equation, okay? So let's go ahead and cross multiply. So X times 20 is 20X. 500 times 100. So I'm going to do 500 and then 1, 2, add 1, 2 zeros at the end of that. Okay, so I should have however many zeros there are here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros in that product. Okay, then we're going to divide by 20. The 20 is multiplied to the x. We want to get the x by itself. So we're going to divide by 20 on both sides. This cancels out on this side and leaves me with just x. Then we're going to eliminate 1 0 top and bottom. So we're working with smaller numbers. You can leave it at 50,000 divided by 20 if you want to. But if you want to eliminate it and simplify this is like saying we're simplifying by 10 top and bottom. Okay? So now I'm going to do here 5,000 divided by 2. 2 goes into 50, 20. Sorry. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. I bring down my 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. But I still have my zeros to bring down. 2 goes into 0 0 times. 1 more 0. 2 goes into 0 0 times. So my answer here is 2,500. So great job, guys. You got it. Very good. Okay. All right. Is this making more sense now that we have easier numbers to work with? Any questions about any of it? Okay, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and look at a different kind of question. So that's also a percent question. Let's go ahead and do this one. So this question says, the money used in Denmark is called the Danish krone. The exchange rate for 90 krone is $15. How many krone would you receive if you exchanged $80? So this is what we call either a proportion or a rate question, where it's comparing an exchange rate, okay, or one scenario to another scenario. And it's telling us that the relationship between these two things is equal to each other. So when we have that, we can actually set two fractions equal to each other, and we can compare both scenarios. Okay? So in the scenario one, we're going to write our rate. And in the second one, we're going to write the scenario that we're comparing it to. So in this first one, our exchange rate, it says it here, 90 krone for $15. So I'm going to put up here 90 krone, $15. Okay? And we're going to exchange $80. Now, this is the rule with this kind of equation. Because we are comparing the krone and the dollars in this order in one fraction, in the second fraction, it has to be the same thing. So if I put the krone on the top, then in the second fraction, the krone has to be on the top. In the first fraction, if the dollars are on the bottom, then I have to put the dollars on the bottom. So because it says $80, I actually have to place this on the bottom so that it matches my first fraction. And I don't know the number of krone, and when we don't know something, we call it X. So I'm going to put X up here, and I'm going to put a little K to remind me that this is the krone. Okay? So now that I've put in my information, I am ready to cross multiply the same way that I did with my percent questions. So 15 times X is 15X. 90 times 80 gives me 7,200. Okay? And now I want to get the X by itself. The 15 is multiplied to the X. So I'm going to divide by 15. And whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I'm going to do to the other side of the equal sign. So this is going to cancel out and give me X by itself on this side. And now I just have to divide by 15. So 7,200 divided by 15. Here we go. 15 times 4 gives me 60. So I'm going to put this down here. 72 minus 60 gives me 12. I bring down a 0. This is going to be, I'm going to say maybe 8. Let's try 15 times 8. I'm going to do the math over here. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So yes, it's exactly 8. So 15 times 8 is exactly 120. I subtract, I get 0. I still need to bring down my other 0. So 15 goes into 0, 0 times. So my answer here is 480 krone. And that's it. My answer is A. Okay, so I'm seeing some questions about, are these the questions that are going to come up on the ASVAB? So the answer is yes and no. We cannot predict exactly what question or how the question will be worded on the ASVAB, but what we do is there are topics that you're being tested on here, okay? So for example, the last questions that we did were percent questions. That is a concept or a topic that you will be tested for on the ASVAB. It's actually the most common and most popular topic for there to be questions about on the ASVAB. This exchange rate or proportion question is another very common topic on the ASVAB. So what we do is we teach you how to do this kind of question, and then we show you many different kinds of ways that this question can be asked, so that when it comes up on the ASVAB, no matter what it looks like, you'll be able to recognize it and you'll be able to answer it. Okay? Does that answer your question? I know that you see it and you're like, this looks different than maybe what you saw in the pie hat. Maybe it wasn't asking about money. Maybe it was asking about something else. And that is completely okay. If you know how to solve this, you know how to solve the other ones. So don't worry about it. We got you guys. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to another kind of question for the sake of time, because I do want to cover more material with you guys. Remember, if you have any questions, just write them in the chat or write them in the comments, okay? And we'll be more than excited to help you guys, all right? More than happy. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of explaining a question, I can't, but as soon as I stop and I look at it, I'll be able to tell you. Okay, so this next question says, if the area of a circle is 1,444 pi square inches, the length of the radius of the circle is, okay, so first things first, these are one of the equations that we need to memorize for the ASVAB. the area of a circle. And the area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay? Now, pi is 3.14. R squared, R is radius, and this is just meaning that we multiply the radius by itself twice. So radius times radius, okay? Now, here it gives us the area of the circle. So we're actually going to write this, 1,444 pi is equal to pi r squared, okay? Now, first thing I'm going to notice, here we have a variable. We don't call it x, we're calling it r, but this is our unknown, okay? And we also have pi on both sides of the equal sign. So when I see a variable, I know that my goal is to get it alone on one side of the equal sign, okay? So here I'm going to divide by pi on both sides because I want to eliminate pi. So this cancels out and this cancels out. I don't even have to worry about doing the multiplication with the 3.14. I don't have to worry about any of that because it's on both sides. I can just eliminate it automatically by dividing, okay? So I get 1,444 is equal to r squared. Now, I can go ahead and take the square root of r squared and take the square root of 1,444, okay? But that's going to take some time. So I'll tell you that I think the easiest thing to do here is to square all of our answer choices to see which one gives us the answer we're looking for. So when we square our answer choices, we can start off with 37. 37 squared is the same thing as 37 times 37. Okay? So 37 times 37, 7 times 7 gives us 49. We carry the 4. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 is 25. Placeholder 0. 3 times 7 is 21, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2, 11. So 9, 6, 3, 1. This is not it. So this is not our answer choice. Sorry, this is not our answer. Let's try 38 squared, which is just 38 times 38. So I'm going to do that down here. 38 times 38. 8 times 8 is 64, carry the 6. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 6 is 30. Placeholder 0. 3 times 8 is 24, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So I'm going to add these together. Let me get rid of this, it's looking crowded. Okay, I'm going to add these together. 4, 4, 3 plus 1 is 4, 0 plus 1 is 1. So this is 38 squared. That is our answer. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions about this one? We got a little shortcut there with just multiplying. Okay. All right, so let's do one final question. All right. So here we go. Final question says, a rectangle has a length of 4 centimeters and a width of 1 centimeter. What is the area of the rectangle? So another equation that we need to memorize for the ASVAB. The area of a rectangle is length times width, okay? Here, it's telling us 4 centimeters is the length, and the width is 1 centimeter, so times 1 centimeter. 4 times 1 is simply 4, and that's centimeters squared. So here our answer choice is C. This is actually a really easy one. I should have given you guys a harder one, but it's okay. All right. Now, what is the equation for the perimeter of this rectangle? Let's go ahead and add that to it. The equation for that is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So here we would once again just plug stuff in. Perimeter equals 2 times the length is 4 centimeters plus 2 times the width is 1 centimeter. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2 times 1 is 2. So here our perimeter would be 10 centimeters. And that's it. We got an easy one this time. Okay. I think that's it. Was there anything you guys wanted to review? I know I told you guys I hadn't seen anything in the chat, but I'm more than happy to review it. Okay, perfect. So you know what? I will do one more question with you all. So this question here says nothing. It's just simplify, okay? And it gives us this fraction here. This is called an algebraic fraction, okay? So what we need to do is we need to simplify what we have here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to simplify the top because we have a parentheses and we have an exponent in that parentheses. So the negative is outside the the negative is outside the parentheses, so we're not going to square it. But we are going to square everything inside. So 9 times 9 gives me 81. Remember, squaring is just multiplying by itself. And here, x squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th. Then on the bottom, I have 6xy. There's nothing squaring there, so we're going to keep that the same. Okay? Now, we need to simplify the rest of this. Now that we've taken care of the top, now we're going to go ahead and simplify the algebraic fraction. So the first thing we want to do is simplify the numbers. Now there's a negative on top, but no number on the bottom. No sign on the bottom. It's positive. So our sign actually stays the same, negative, like that. Okay? Then we're going to go ahead and simplify the 81 and the 6, the two numbers, okay? Now, can we divide 81 by 6? Let's go ahead and give it a try. 6 goes into 81, 6 goes into 8 2 times. 6, no, it doesn't. It goes in 1 time. 6 times 1 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. Okay? We bring down the 1. 6 goes into 21, but not evenly. So what does this tell me? That I'm not going to be able to divide this. I'm going to have to simplify. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to go back to 81 over 6. When I simplify this fraction, I need to find a number that I can divide by both top and bottom. So here, I can divide by both top and bottom by the number 3. So I'm going to divide it by 3. I'm going to divide it by 3. Here on the top, 81 divided by 3. Let's do that real quick. 3 goes into 8 2 times. Bring down my 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times. So 81 divided by 3 is 27. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this is my simplified numbers in my fraction. I can bring them back up here. 27 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Okay? Now I move on to my variables. When I have my variables in an algebraic fraction, what I do is that the variables that are the same, I subtract the exponents. So here, x, 4 minus the 1 that's in the bottom gives me 3. Because it's positive 3, it's going to stay on the top. Okay? And then y, I only have on the bottom. So I'm going to leave it on the bottom because there's nothing else to simplify it with. So here, my final answer is negative 27x to the third over 2y, which is C. Okay? All right. I know that was kind of weird. Any questions about this one? Okay, let's go ahead and try one that's a little less complicated. So let's say we have 15x to the third over 3x. Okay? Here, once again, we start with the numbers. 15 over 3. What can I divide by on the top and the bottom that's the same? Well, I can divide by 3 both top and bottom. 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. And 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. Okay? Then I move on to my variables. I can subtract my exponents. Here we have 3, and here there's an invisible 1. So 3 minus 1 gives me positive 2. So if it's positive, it's going to stay on the top. And that's it. So 5x squared over 1 simplifies into just 5x squared. Okay, so that one is a little more simple, so you can see how to break that down. All right. Any questions on this one? Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and give you one to simplify. Here we go. 4y. Let's do to the fifth over 2y squared. Go ahead and give that one a try. Send me your answer in the chat. All right, I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and give this, let's just go over this one. So we're going to simplify the fraction first. Sorry, the numbers first. We can divide both top and bottom by 2. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. And then here, my variable is y that we haven't come on top and bottom. We do 5 minus 2. Okay, is positive 3. Because it's positive, it will stay on the top. So this simplifies to 2y to the third. Now, obviously, these algebraic fractions do get harder, and they do end up showing up on the ASVAB as well. So this is a good one to practice and challenge yourself with more difficult questions or versions of this question, okay? All right, we're going to go ahead and stop here. right. So does anybody have any questions for me about our course or how our program works? Because I know some of you have been emailing me and asking me or sending me messages about it. Um, Okay, so just so you guys know, our program is a group program. It's $68 one-time payment to join the class. You get access to our course, and you also get access to our live classes that we do every single week. So this class that we just did now, this was actually a small class, and you guys are new, so there wasn't as much interaction, but we have class that actually starts in 5 minutes for people who are in our course. And they meet Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. or depending on your time zone, basically in 5 minutes. Okay. So this happens Monday through Thursday. You log in and there will be us instructors. We instructors will be there. We'll be talking to you. We'll be helping you with questions that you might have in the course. And the way you move through the program is by completing 100% of the lessons in the course. It usually takes people about 4 to 6 weeks to complete the entire program, but we give you access for up to 6 months just in case you want to keep studying or in case you need the 6 months after that second retest fail. And I believe that's it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share, give me 1 second, a special that we have for you guys. So to say thank you for, oh, that's not it. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah. Okay, that is it. So just to say thank you for coming into class today, we are giving you a special price on our program. We're actually giving you the success course, the live group sessions, and a study guide that'll help you complete the class in 30 days. And we're also going to send you some additional practice tests to help you keep studying, okay? And basically to purchase that, you just scan this QR code to get there and you use this promo code. Once you use that promo code, you'll get that discount and it'll bring the price down for you, okay? So, no, James, we don't have daytime classes. I'm sorry about that. All our classes are in the evenings, like at this time, like I'm saying now. Now, if you cannot make it to all 4 classes, it's okay to make it to 1 or 2 or 3, but we do record all of our classes. We don't post them all on YouTube, but we do record all of our classes and they're in the lessons in our course called Recorded Live Sessions so that you don't miss anything, okay? They'll be there for you to watch afterwards or to use them to practice with. Okay. Any other questions for me? Okay, perfect. And I know we didn't get to cover too many topics today. Normally we get to do a little more back and forth practice. But once you guys start in the course, you'll kind of get the hang of it and then we'll be able to cover more ground together. So I don't want you to get discouraged. And it looks like you guys have some amazing goals for your ASVAB scores. So I wish you all the luck in the world and good luck as you keep studying for the ASVAB, and thank you again for joining us today. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. If you have a question, you can stay another minute or so, but we do need to make sure we end at 8 p.m. for our other class, okay?